After a lengthy discussion, 18 years in fact, according to Councillor Nero, and much to the dismay of the St. Mary's Marine Heritage Centre, last night City Councillors voted 7-3 in favour of the removal of the MS Noragoma from its home at the Roberta Bondar Marina. So what happens now? The SMMHC will have until April 15th at the latest to get the ship moved, costing them $50,000 to have it towed to a dock at Algoma Steel, plus a daily docking fee of $40 a day. The dock is going to be provided by Purvis Marine, where it will be inaccessible to the public, potentially stripping it of its status as a museum ship and kiboshing any plans to film on it this summer. If the Heritage Centre can't afford the move, they'll be considered insolvent, and all costs will be absorbed by the city, including the daily docking fees and dismantling of the ship, should that be the case. Mayor Christian Provenzano also told council he's comfortable taking on these costs to get the Noragoma, which he says is sorely underfunded, out of the marina, adding it's hindering any upgrades and improvements. However, he did say he's also willing to work with the Heritage Centre if they can find a new home for the ship. After a heated debate over costs, City Council voted 7-3 in favor of moving forward to set up a steering committee to oversee demolition of the 51-year-old W.J. McMeekin Centre and construct a new $25 million twin pad arena to replace it. An additional $1.1 million will also be spent for architectural and engineering services to get the project off the ground. The passing of this resolution also means that city staff will now be authorized to apply for infrastructure funding for the project when it becomes available, as well as investigate options and costs for demolishing the aging landmark, which greatly surpasses the 32-year lifespan of the average rink. These new ice pads are slated to be NHL-sized, with enough seating for 300 to 500 spectators per pad.
Over the past 10 years, we've seen a real problem with Canada in that we haven't had the kind of growth necessary to give opportunities and investments needed.
The Trudeau government will attempt to set the stage for this fall's election and provide some distraction from the SNC-Lavalin affair, with today's end-of-mandate budget touting the Liberals' economic record. The Liberal government's fourth and final budget before the election is expected to include measures to help first-time home buyers, seniors, and adult Canadians who want to return to school for skills training. It's also expected to take an initial step towards a national pharmacare program and disclose details of previously announced tax credits and incentives worth $595 million over 5 years to help Canada's ailing journalism industry. But Finance Minister Bill Morneau will also try to set the narrative for the coming election, arguing that years of deficit spending have put the economy on a stronger footing. Expect him to credit the Liberals' investments in infrastructure and other spending measures for the creation of almost 950,000 jobs and the lowest unemployment rate in almost 40 years, and point to the Liberals' enhanced child benefit for the lowest poverty rate in 10 years. Moreover, Morneau is expected to boast a better fiscal picture than he anticipated in last fall's economic update, thanks to an increase in tax revenues despite surprisingly weak economic growth in the final 3 months of 2018. On Sunday, 21-year-old Alex Weir of Old Gooley Bay Road was arrested for impaired driving. City police officers observed a vehicle driving northbound on Peoples Road, swerving into southbound lanes, nearly striking the cruiser. Police conducted a traffic stop and, while speaking with the accused, determined his speech was slurred, his eyes were red and glossy, and there was an odor of alcohol coming from his breath. Roadside breath tests were administered and both results were over the legal limit. The accused was charged with 1 count of operating a motor vehicle while impaired and 1 count of blood alcohol content over 80. He's scheduled to appear in court on April 29th. Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland explains why it's important for Canada to extend its military mission in Ukraine and help monitor its upcoming presidential election.
Particularly now in their election season, it's important for the people of Ukraine to realize, as is the case, that they are not alone. Quite the contrary, they have the strong and resolute support of the international community, very much of Canada, of NATO, of our allies. And I would point out, since this is the 5th anniversary of the invasion and annexation of Crimea, I think there were many observers at that time who imagined that the unity of the West would not endure, that it would be very short-lived. The approach, the strong, resolute approach of standing up against this violation of international law, the sanctions against Russia. And actually, the unity of the West in the face of this Russian aggression has proven to be very strong and resolute, and it will continue.
Conservative MPs Candice Bergen and Pierre Poilievre and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh say Privy Council Clerk Michael Warnick's resignation yesterday only raises new questions about that SNC-Lavalin affair.
I think what we're seeing is continued chaos in this government. So the clerk of the Privy Council has resigned in disgrace, and the Prime Minister had yet another cabinet shuffle today. Clearly, and we've said this before, the government's not focused on what's concerning Canadians. They're focused on looking after themselves and really keeping this cover-up going. And tomorrow morning will be evidence of that unless they let her speak. We actually thought it was a joke. It's so preposterous, it's a joke. We actually have somebody who can answer these questions. Her name's Jody Wilson-Raybould. She is the one who we need to hear from. We believe her when she speaks. She's credible. She has accounting. She has text. She has documentation of what's gone on. All she needs is privilege waived so that she can speak freely. We don't need Anne McClellan.